Honorable Chairperson, I firstly wish to pay tribute to the First Lady and co-founder of the African Christian Democratic Party, our Dr. Lydia Meshoe, who left a legacy to be emulated by Christian women in leadership and in politics. Dr. Lydia Meshoe was a practical Pentecostal and a fierce defender of the biblical worldview, a custodian of the vision of a transformed South Africa and Africa through biblical transformation. The restoration of the family as a cornerstone for social stability, the belief in the ownership of divine destiny, not only of individuals, but of nations, and in particular, our beloved country, South Africa. When we consider the theme of this debate, the ACDP wants to reflect and ask the question, how does a government who views itself to be serious about the rights of women pursue the legalization of prostitution? This proposed legislation that deems prostitution work, which it is not, will become law in a lawless country that is overrun by organized crime. A country where 82 murders are committed per day, that ranks as one of the most violent countries for children to grow up in. Prostitution by nature promotes violence against women, and wherever it was legalized, human trafficking has increased. This comes from research done in Nordic countries, the very same research that shows the severe psychological and emotional scarring of those who are forced by circumstance beyond their control into the nets of pimps and madams. The rights of women to dignity and agency are violated in activities that reduces them to mere objects to be used and abused for the pleasure of the buyer. Chairperson, this parliament is a stone's throw away from the old slave lodge, where women were violated and had no agency over their own bodies and choices. This government, by its aggressive pursuance of this legislation, to give legitimacy to an illegal industry that thrives on the vulnerability and economic deprivation of women, is admitting its own inability to realize the Freedom Charter, its foundational document. It is a tragedy that today, 200 years after the end of slavery, within a few hundred meters of the slave lodge, where women of color were forced into what is now being called sex work, legislation can make its way into this parliament to renew that practice. I want to speak to the speaker who referred to Israel. Let me state, don't be selective in application of critique. Include the women of Iran fighting and dying for freedom, or the women and children in China who work under appalling conditions, to mention just a few examples. I thank you.
Amen. Very much, honorable member.